we didn't play very well the last couple of weeks of the season, or a variety of reasons. But nonetheless, we were not. We played a really poor defensive game against Valley, and we had no consistency offensively against Strasburg, and it was, I guess, kind of a wake-up call for us. We looked at some things that we'd been working on, and things that we may had kind of gotten lazy or lax in terms of our preparation, and so we went hard the last week in correcting some of those things, and particularly offensively. I think the Valley game defensively was kind of a aberration because we hadn't had too many defensive games like that. But nonetheless, we worked on that also. But the big thing for my concern was the offense. We were starting to get lazy with our preparation and what we were looking for offensively, what we wanted to swing at and what we didn't want to swing at, and some swing flaws that we had been working on. So I think it was just a lot of hard work on the players' part. Coaches, we noticed some things and put some emphasis on it for the last week of practice, and we did scrimmage Legacy and Windsor during that last week. Saw some really good pitching, needless to say, and really tried to step it up in terms of our preparation, and it seemed to pay off. Our offense came back, I thought, pretty well during the tournament, so I was pleased with that. And I think our pitching and defense have been pretty steady all year, and our offense had been pretty good at the early and middle part. But then we kind of tailed off there, and we came back with the offense, and that makes it really hard.
Let me hit on a couple of other things, Coach. With the semifinal game here against Faith Christian, how difficult was that one? Because you got out to the early lead, and Faith Christian kept fighting back, and you held on for the victory. Anything that Faith Christian did to keep your lineup at bay once you got out to that 4-0 lead, or was your approach to the plate not as solid in the later innings as it was in the earlier innings?
The pitcher, Taylor Johnson, threw a good game. I don't think we hit it poorly, but we hit it at them, and they made plays, and I think that changed it. They were a good team. They had their first 3 or 4 batters were pretty solid, and we were doing our best to keep them off the bases. And I think their hits were all singles, but they were very timely. And we had, I think we had one error, and I think I don't know if she walked anybody that game. I don't think she did, but they were getting people on, and then they had some timely hits. And momentum is kind of a funny thing. Once somebody gets a hit, then other good batters are thinking the same thing. And their number 3 hitter, I thought she did a really outstanding job. That's just a credit to Faith Christian. I thought that they were, at the beginning of the season, I felt like Faith Christian this was going to probably be their year. I thought they might get Holy Family, and ultimately they did in the tournament. They lost in the regular season, but got them in the tournament. So I thought Faith Christian was always a quality team to begin with, and I knew Valley was going to be good, and I knew Burlington. I think pretty much we named our opponents in the Final Four and then that semifinal for us. Those were quality teams that we knew about. We knew we had to step it up to play against them, and luckily we got that performance.
Now you've won 10 championships in the last 12 years. What's your take here on what you expect now that you go to 4A next year and that quality of competition?
Well, obviously the quality of competition raises slightly, but the depth of quality increases. In 3A, we could always name 2, 3, 4 teams that were knocking at the door, looking at us, and we knew that we'd better have our attention focused on them, or we could be beat by those type of teams. And I think in 4A, the only difference is you have a couple of teams that they have some pretty quality people, but Wheat Ridge loses their number 1 pitcher, Routson. So I think that's a team that is a very, very good team. Obviously, two-time state champions, but I think we can play with them. We scrimmaged them early in the season and lost 1-0 with Routson throwing the whole game. So I think we're there. I think we can do that. But game in, game out, that's the difference as you step up each level. Is that game in, game out. You don't have very many any weak games there. There's not very many weak teams. There's a few. There's no doubt about it. But I think we're going to see more better teams, and that'll be our challenge, is to be more consistent. And we won't be able to go up and down in terms of our performance. We have to get at a high level and stay at that high level, and I think that'll be the difference, and that'll be the challenge for our girls. I think they're capable of playing and beating those teams. We do it anyway with our tournament schedule and our scrimmages and in our the festival we play in and our non-league games. We play these teams anyway, so our transition into 4A shouldn't be too strange for us, because we've been playing them for years and years, and these kids play them during the summer too, so they can play with them, but our consistency will have to be, that'll be the challenge, is to get it to a high level and stay there, because there won't be any lapses, I think, in our schedule.